it's really easy for me to sway your hearing because I can, without referencing, without multiple layers of this stuff, it's so difficult to know what you're listening for. And with your hearing continually adapting due to the psychoacoustic principles of listening and the way your brain interprets audio signals, we can mess it up and you won't know what you're hearing, and your brain will actually show you stuff or tell you something that might or might not be accurate. So for starters today, I'm just going to break your brain. So we're going to blow everybody's brain up right away. So let's jump on over to Ableton. Hi, children. We're in Ableton. This is a track. It is out on Spotify right now. It has a couple million plays. Okay. This little track right here. It's called Bruce Wayne. It's by an artist called EyeOnEyez. Check it out. It's on Spotify. So what I'm going to do here is I am boosting about 10 dB of 900 hertz. Okay? I'm going to boost 10 dB of 900 hertz. And it's going to sound weird for a minute. And then your ears are going to get used to it. And then when I turn it off, the original is going to sound completely bonkers wrong. Ready? Here we go. So that does sound a little boxy to me. Sounding a little icy. Sounding a little boxy. So it doesn't take long for our brains to acclimate to these changes. I'd say maybe 2 or 3 more loops for our brains to say, okay, that 10 dB is actually the norm, and everything else is going to sound weird. That much energy in that band is going to sound. 2 more. 1 more. Now I'm just going to turn it off. And the original sounds bizarre now. So that is a -5 LUFS professional master delivered for large clients on Spotify that now sounds bizarre because I boosted a frequency range and we listened to it for a little bit. When we're adding energy or we're removing energy from frequency ranges, it gets very, very difficult to have some level of contextualization around what actually is happening and what's not, right? We don't have a before and after. We have a, here's the boost. And then your brain's like, that's a cool boost. And then your brain's like, I kind of like that boost. And then your brain's like, that boost is truth. And you end up being like, now you take the boost away and you're like, oh, the thing before was wrong and the boost is right. It's like, we're lost. Perspective is shot. So I can't do this with you and EQs. So the only way we can do this, there is a way. There is a way, and I have it. Ah, yay. It's the best practices, children, of course. So let's get into what is actually the way to do this. I have some tools. So I'm going to bring these tools in over here. I'm going to bring them up onto this China. So what I have here in a big chain is just a heap of EQs, children. Just a heckin' effing heap of EQs. Let me get rid of this one. Okay. Now, what I also have directly below this channel, which is, here we go. This is our Bruce Wayne clean edit. And below that, I have another Bruce Wayne, the exact same Bruce Wayne. But this time, get rid of that, I have inverted the phase. We are null testing, children. This is the magic. So, what happens when I play these two together is, should be nothing. Now, I might have some pops and clicks when I start, so I'm going to turn these off and kick it off, turn it back on again. Nothing, children. They cancel. Great. So, these are truly phase inverted, meaning one is the mirror image of the other. And so when we're telling the speakers to both push and pull at equal amounts, it's simultaneously, we transmit zero information. You can see nothing coming out here out of the master, right? And even if I want to open up Insight, come on, Insight. Oh, no, open again. Negative infinity. So nothing happening. Okay. So now, if I activate any one of these EQs on the chain that is not phase inverted, all we're going to hear is what the EQ is actually doing. We will no longer be hearing the whole mix. We will no longer be hearing anything other than the actual changes taking place within the EQs themselves. if I, let's say, turn on this EQ. Ready? We're going to listen to it first. I'm going to turn on the EQ8, and then I'm going to turn on the Fab Filter Pro Q3 in 0 latency mode. Okay? Same exact boost. All the EQs here have exactly the same boost. Same frequency, same boost, same Q, same everything. So if we're hearing differences, we're going to know that it's within the math of the EQ, it's within the type of math that's happening within the EQ itself, and the phase relationships being created by that math. Okay, so for instance, I'm going to boost this. First, we're going to play back, we're going to listen to it, then I'm going to turn on the EQ8, then I'm going to turn off the EQ8, then I'm going to turn on the Pro Q3, and then I will attempt to critique, or at least evaluate, the changes between the two EQs. Have a listen.
Diamonds so icy that you could ski on it. Yellow diamonds looking like a could really beat on it. Michael diamonds so icy that you could ski on it. Yellow diamonds looking like a could really beat on it. Michael diamonds so icy that you could ski
one more time.
on it. Yellow diamonds looking like a could really beat on it. Michael diamonds so icy that you could ski on it. Yellow diamonds looking like a could really beat on it. Michael.
So between the Pro Q3 and between the EQ8, to me it sounds like the Pro Q3 is a little more open. Sounds a little more open to me, right? Now, you're like, I didn't necessarily notice that. Allow me to demonstrate. This is the magic, children. Here we go. So, remember, we're going to play it back. No signal. Nothing happening. Audio is happening. Here we go. So, you can really hear that narrow band on the EQ8. Switching to the Pro Q3. Sounds very similar, but I'm hearing in the Pro Q3 a little more high frequency response. Sounds a little more open. That sounds a little more shut. And now here comes the magic, right? So in comparison to each other, right, here's the magic stuff. Let's now take the EQ8 and actually put that on the inverted channel. Okay? So now we're going to run the EQ8 versus itself. It should totally phase cancel. Great. No signal. That's exactly what we want to do. And now I'm going to run the Pro Q3 versus the EQ8 and listen to the difference. Now, I know you're probably going, what difference, Seth? I don't hear anything. And that's because the signal is incredibly quiet. So I have this utility on here, and I'm going to turn it up. And you're going to hear what I'm talking about when I reference that it sounds more open, that it has more high-frequency content in it. See the difference? Hear the difference? I am hearing distinct transient change in frequencies that are above the Q, right? We were boosting in the 1K range. Like verging between body and presence, right? But we're hearing hi-hats. Listen to this. Fab Filter, Pro Q3, 0 latency, same exact boost. EQ8, same exact boost. And we have a delineation in the high frequency content. So this technique of taking two things and summing them into each other when one is inverted will give you the physical differences that you need to train your ears to hear so you can understand why you're making the choices that you're making. This is how I trained my ears to know what to listen for. So we did the EQ8 versus the Fab Filter. Now, here's one that's going to be really different. Ready? Let's go into this next Fab Filter is actually in linear phase mode, okay? So first, before I go and show you it versus the EQ8, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to turn the EQ8 off. I'm going to make sure we don't have that boost on there anymore because we're going to take some heads off. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play this back, and we're going to cycle through the Fab Filters, okay? So you're going to hear now the subtracted Fab Filter 0 phase, the subtracted Fab Filter natural phase, and the subtracted Fab Filter linear phase. And you will really hear what I talk about when I'm like, the depth that's changing, how the frequency boosts are happening, the distance between objects in the mix. You can really hear that in this setup. So here we go. back with the first fab filter, turning off the linear phase, and we're just starting with 0 latency fab filter Pro Q3 with a null test. Here we go. Switching. So between natural phase and 0 phase, not much change perceptually. Now, what I am hearing is, I'm hearing that the natural phase one does sound more open. I'm hearing that, and I can prove that. I will take the Pro Q2, or the Pro Q3, excuse me. I'll put that back on that inverted channel, okay? Wait, I copied the whole thing. That is not what I was trying to do. There we go, children. Let's just grab the one thing and put it on here. Let's activate it. Okay, cool. So we have on the inverted channel, we have the 0 latency. So we're going to do 0 latency versus natural phase. And here we go. The natural phase is right here. Yep. And now what is the difference? Okay, here we go. So again, you're like, Seth, there's no difference. Oh, but wait. See? That's that openness that we're hearing in the natural phase that we're not getting from the 0 latency. That's that top end in there. And what I can really hear is, and this is when it gets crazy, when it gets really, really crazy when we go into the linear phase. Watch this. So I'm just going to do, we're going to start back over again. Ready? Natural phase. Here we go. Natural phase. Okay. I hear a little bit of change in the depth, but more openness. And now I'm going to go into the linear phase. Listen to that. No change in the depth. No focus change. No pushing instruments forward. Only an energy change. That's what I was talking about before when I was like, can you hear this? Can you hear that? Can you hear this? And then I realized I was like, oh man, I'm fighting against all the psychoacoustics. No one knows what they're listening for. We got to null test this. So, once again, start back from the top. Boom, boom. 0 latency. You're going to hear the vocal come forward. You're going to hear more separation between the snare and the vocal and the rest of the music. You will hear that whole band push forward in the mix. Here we go. Going to natural phase, it'll open up a little bit. Little less distance between objects. Back to the first one. More drastic changes between objects. Less drastic changes between objects. And then we go to linear phase, it's just an energy shift. Flat. Listen to how flat that is against the speakers. No push forward. Back to natural phase. Whole thing pushed forward. Elements now moved up. Focus change. Only energy change. That, children, is the difference between the phase relationships happening within the EQs. That is the mind-blowing moment that I've been trying to give you for these EQs this whole time. So that you can really understand, like, oh gosh, it's drastic. It's not a little change. These changes are drastic. And now you can hear them when you start to do these null tests.